Okay, this is going to be a pretty easy, quick tutorial. I wanted to go over making a thumbnail for a video. So you've put together a video and you wanted to get lots of hits or whatever. Uh, it's good practice to have a good thumbnail. A lot of times you can just grab something that's part of the video. I'm used to putting out such high volumes of stuff with sort of a captive audience that I don't worry about thumbnails too much. But occasionally, like if we're doing an ad or promotion or whatever, the thumbnail actually affects when people click on it. And I'm sure you're very well aware of this. You see all those thumbnails out there that have like the little red circle on it or an arrow pointing to some, ambiguous area. It's like, ooh, it's just to generate your curiosity. But it can also, it's not so. It doesn't have to be that bait and switch thing. It can just be a good descriptor for what the video is going to be, so people can go, you know, well, you look for videos and you see the thumbnail, like, oh yeah, there's the one. So one way to make a thumbnail quick and easy is, let's get that off the screen. I just made a video, so I put it up online, and let me find it here. So this is the actual video. Okay, so this is a by the time you see this, you've probably watched this particular video. It's the overview of the Q8 Zoom recorder, which I'm using right now to video this. So I've got a little tutorial video for people how to use it. So what I'm going to do is scrub through here, and I can look at all this, and I've seen the video because I've edited it down, and I'm looking through for frames here, like what's going to be the most useful bit of footage that might make a good frame. So I'm scrubbing through it. I'm just giving you a quick overview. Now this right here might actually be something that's very indicative. It's a person, me, standing there, at the product that's being discussed, but you can't really see the product that well. And here, these are informative, but it's hard to tell what you're looking at unless you already know. So likewise this. So what I'm going to go with is probably just find something in here. People generally like to see a face. Not that it has to be a beautiful face, just a face. So what I'm going to do is find a frame in here where my eyes don't look like that. Preferably not making a goofy face. Okay, I'll go with that. There it is. Dude demonstrating camera, holding up camera. All right, so that I'm going to use that as my my canvas, as it were. What I'm using, I'm on Windows here. Mac, I'm not sure what Mac uses here, but you can do a screenshot. In Windows 10, they now use what's called Snip and Sketch. You can use any sorts of things. You can use the screenshot button on your keyboard, but I just find it just as easy to pull this program up. It comes with your operating system. I'm going to create a new one, and then I'm going to get roughly corner to corner, and bam, I've snapshotted. I don't think it actually showed what I was doing there. I noticed Snip and Sketch doesn't show up in my recording software, but anyhow, I just hit new, dragged it over from corner to corner where I wanted it. I got this. So now I'm going to save it, and hey, I'm already there under UTM Q8 tutorial. I'm going to say screenshot thumbnail. Save it as a PNG. Fine, great. Close that out, close that out. Now I am going to go to Inkscape, open it up, and I'm going to take that screen cap, Oh, I did one while ago. I started to do this and I thought, oh, this would be a good tutorial. I'm going to delete it. So I've got my screenshot thumbnail. I'm going to bring it in. Now, in Inkscape, I've got a lot of my preferences set up. Yours might be set up a little bit differently, but if you hit the Shift Control D, you'll get this window pop up. So Shift and Control and D, bam. And what this is your document properties. You can also find this right here under your File menu, Document Properties. But I'm going to resize. First I'm going to see what my custom size is, and it's right where I want it. It's 1920 by 1080, so I'm going to leave that. But if I wanted to resize it to if I did a full screenshot and I wanted to use the whole thing and not crop any of it, I would use this attribute here and resize the page to drawing or selection. And what it will do is automatically change the document size to fit that image that you brought in. And I rushed through one step there. I'm going to do this again. Whenever I dragged in this, there's two ways you can drag an image into Inkscape, and one's to embed it or one's to link it. Now, if you embed it, it actually becomes part of the Inkscape file, which makes that Inkscape file pretty big. If you do a whole bunch of images. But if you just link it, which I have here, the Inkscape file never actually puts the image file in there, or image files, multiple, in there. What it does is it just links to them. Now, you have to make sure that you never delete any of those files if you ever plan on opening this Inkscape file again, or else it just won't work. They won't be there. So, yeah, that you gotta if you want to link it there to keep your file size down, but you can't move your files around. So that if I linked, I'm going to go Inkscape, hit OK. I've got it linked in here. If I go to my Windows and I say, oh, this is messy, I'm going to put this in a folder somewhere. Well, suddenly this won't work because the file will be gone. So I make a folder called Assets. I'm going to take this. Oh, I double click that. Drag this into Assets. Bam. Uh-oh, not there. You get the idea. So just don't move files around after you've pulled them into an Inkscape, if you're linking them into an Inkscape document. Best to just go ahead and put everything where it needs to be to keep things clean and neat and orderly. So this is, I know that this is the same size. This is a 1080 resolution, 1920 by 1080, which is the size of your high def screen. So I'm going to take my screenshot and size it up. Now, if I just grab a corner, it's going to distort. So while I'm dragging a corner, I'm going to hold Control. That maintains its aspect ratio. And I'm just going to go ahead and oversize it a little bit. Now it's going to be plenty big, because you can see back here where the actual size of the edge, the parameters are going to be. Now I'm going to lose that. I can't see the edge, so I don't know where I'm placing this. So what I could do is draw a box, and I drew a box. I'm going to change my units to pixels and make that box 1920 by 1080, and that's the size of my document. I can make it clear, but I can't see the box anymore. So after I make it clear, I'm going to right click on the color, set the stroke so I can actually see the box around the edge. There's different ways to go about this, but I'm filling up the screen a little bit more, putting this off to the side, And now, if I want to, I can select that box, select my image, right click, and set clip. And it goes ahead and clips it for me. So I get a better idea of what it's going to look like. You can do that, you can not do that. Now notice that I'm not lined up with my box, with my binding box. If I want to make sure that it's exactly where it needs to be, I can come up here and manually type in the coordinates to 0, 0. I did that up in the top of the screen up here. And there's other ways to do this. I'm just showing you one of many, many ways. So now I'm going to put some text over it. So I'm clicking my A over here to the left. I could hit F8 to pull up that tool. And I'm going to write Zoom Q8 tutorial. You can't hardly see it, you can't hardly read it, so I'm going to Control A, select all, while I'm still in my text editing mode. If I accidentally click off here, all I have to do is double click on that text again to get into text editing mode, and then I triple click it or Control A to select it, all of that, like most software does these days. I can pick a font size or type in a font size or whatever. There's all different ways I could go about this. I could even grab the corners and resize it. Again, I'm going to lose my aspect ratio unless I hold down Control. So Zoom Q8, I'm double clicking, make that 2 lines, Control A or select all, and pick a font. Now I have more fonts than you do, most likely. I have to keep, I don't know, about 3,000 fonts at the ready. So there, I like that font, can't read it, so I'm going to, while I have my font selected, I'm going to come down here and pick a color. So I can pick anything out of this color palette. And I can do some custom colors, but for this tutorial, I'm just going to be quick and down and dirty. Pick something that's high contrast. Control, while I resize this, make it yellow. Now, we can't see that very well, so I'm going to right click while my text is still selected. I'm going to right click down on this black and set the stroke. So now it has a little bit of a black stroke. I want that bigger, so I'm going to come up to my fill in stroke. If you don't have this window already open, you can hit Shift Control F, probably Shift Command F on Mac, and then if it's not there, you can come up and find it in one of these drop downs. I haven't done it so long, I honestly can't remember. What am I looking for? Paths. So I see it. You can look for it, but fill and stroke. I'm going to make my stroke style thicker. Hey, now we're starting to see it. Something I don't like about Inkscape is that it puts the stroke in front. So the bigger your stroke gets outwardly, it also gets thicker inwardly. Kind of a hack. You can do what's called an outline, make a filter. Not going to bother with it for right now. I'm going to go ahead and put on a big stroke, but that looks awful, right? So what I'm going to do is hit Control D for duplicate. So now I've made a second instance of the same thing. Control Z to undo. So now I've got the exact same thing on top of itself, and I have the top one selected. So I'm going to take the stroke back off of that one. And it's just a little hack trick, right? So I'm going to drag it off to the side. That's what I just made. Now one cool thing, as I zoom in, I'm going to hold down Control and scroll my wheel. Now I can move this around and make it look like a drop shadow, kind of stylize the outline so it's got that look about it. You know, whatever. You can get crazy and do stuff like that if you want to just make it hard to read. I can use my arrow keys to nudge it around. I can hold down Shift, move it around with my arrow keys. But that gives you an idea of what you can do very quickly to just make a thumbnail for a video. I took a frame from the video, threw some text over it. In fact, I may even want to do something like this. I draw a circle. I right click on a color to set the stroke, which is red. I make the stroke really fat. I want to see through the circle, so I make the color over at the very left of our color bar down here, at the bottom where my mouse is, the very left, there's an X. I click on that. That's transparent, no color at all. And then you could play around. There's all sorts of different. I could change my stroke to dashes, something stupid like that, and do custom setups. I could also, if I wanted something more organic, I could come over here and say with my pencil tool, I could draw a circle. It looks awful. Right click on my color, set my stroke. That's janky. So Control Z. Oh, well, let me go back that far. Well, I am just going to, let me save this, which I should have done very first thing. Again, cardinal sin. I'm going on my drive. I'm going to save it on my D drive, UTM, Q8 tutorial, Zoom Q8 tutorial thumbnail. Ta-da! Okay, that's a great name, right? And play around with it. You get different ideas. I could do something like take this polygon tool here, change it to star, make it a three-pointed star. I'm drawing a star, which you can probably barely see. And then select my selector tool, F1. Make my star, holding down Control, I'm resizing my star. I'm double clicking my star so I can modify it. It goes back to my polygon tool. Now I'm going back to my selector tool, which is my arrow tool. I'm going to make that arrow clear down here at the bottom left. I'm going to click no color, the X, and then I'm going to right click on whatever color I want. I'm going to pick this lime green. Right click, set stroke. Come back up here and make my stroke really thick. I don't know, just something ridiculous like that. Actually, I'm going to make it right click red, make the stroke red. There we go. Or I could make the stroke yellow, duplicate the star, make that stroke red, and then it's got layers. Okay, not pretty, but it grabs attention, right? It puts the attention where it needs to be. Or I could do this number. Okay, you get the point. So I'm going to make that star, duplicate that star, resize it, click again so I can get my rotate handles. I duplicated it, make it smaller, rotate it. Oops. Oh, I can't grab that nub. Did I move? Oh, I moved the center of my star. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Duplicate. Select again. Rotate it. Da-da-da. See, now it's starting to look like an eye-catching kind of a thumbnail. Okay, I know I'm eating up your time now, so I'm just going to grab a bunch of those, duplicate them, bam, call it a day. So now I've moved them all over. I'm going to export this. Again, I can't do anything with this online, so what should I do? I'm going to make those red. Oh, and they still have the yellow outline. That looks awesome. I need to export this. Well, I can hit, if I'm going to export it as a PNG, I can hit Shift Control E. I could come up here to my File menu and export a PNG image, and or I could save it as, I could do some different stuff, but usually a PNG is going to work fine. So whenever I hit Save Export PNG Image, I'm going to get this window. And it tells you the shortcut in case you ever close it there and you want to know what it is. Right now, if I export it, it's going to take the whole drawing regardless of what I have. So if I have that star, it's going to export all the way up to that star. It's going to export everything. But I only want it to export the actual drawing, the actual page. So I'm going to select page, and that's going to export whatever falls within that original document size. And if I only want to export the overlays but not the actual image, I can select them all and export the selection. All sorts of different things. So just be aware of this when you're exporting, because a lot of times by default it will be on drawing or selection, and what you really want to export is page, just the page and all the page and nothing but the page. You want to export it as, hit that, and this is the window that popped up. I'm going to go to my UTM Q8 tutorial Zoom. I'm going to use the same name, take off the file extension, Zoom Q8 tutorial thumbnail, save. Now that didn't save it. They just told it where I want to save it and what the file name is going to be. It will not do anything until I hit export. So let me pull up. Here's the directory, and notice there's only these 4 files in here. I'm going to hit export, come back over here. Aha! Now there's this new file that opened in a separate window. There it is. That's my thumbnail. A very excited person who's very excited to be here talking about this exciting product. Now Inkscape, I'm going to close it. Sure, save all my work. Then I'm going to go to, this is where I uploaded my video earlier on YouTube. These are the thumbnail options it gave me. Kind of what I actually selected. But I don't want any of them, so I'm going to upload a thumbnail. UTM Q8 tutorial, open, bam. Ooh, now that looks professional. All right, so looks good. I'm going to save changes. And voila, that's it. Okay, short and sweet.